I said I wouldn't speak. I tried. I really tried. I bit my tongue so hard I could taste the blood and the pride. I said, I'll be still. I thought that silence would save me. It would save me from trouble, from judgment, from exhaustion. But no, the word was still there. The word was in me. It was a fire. It wasn't gentle or warming. It was like a furnace sealed behind my ribs. I'm not going to mention him. That's what I told myself. And still, it burned. I felt that. It was still smoldering behind my ribs in a hard ache. Not quite grief, not quite rage, but something that stirred and agitated. Sense that the world is off kilter. That wrongness still sat heavy in the air, and yet I just didn't know where to begin. I wanted to do something. God, I wanted to do something. But the world is loud, and it is cruel, and it is complicated. And I'm just one person. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a sage. I'm definitely not a saint. I'm just a person with rent due, children crying, tired heart, raw nerves. And still the fire burned. And I might have told myself what the fire was supposed to look like. It has to roar, it has to march, it has to grab microphones and megaphones and organize and strategize and rise and rise and rise. I told myself that unless my fire shook the ground and the earth, well, did it really matter? So when I couldn't do as they did, I thought, maybe I'm just being faithless. Your fire is too small. But Jeremiah tried to shut his mouth. Didn't much matter. The fire burned anyway. Because it wasn't about him. It wasn't about acclaim or applause or even approval. It was about faithfulness. The fire in my bones didn't need a stage. It needed a yes. But what if I fail? What if my fire isn't enough? Not hot enough, not bright enough, not visible enough to make any difference? What if all I can offer is a whisper in a world that's screaming? What if I'm only a single candle in the midst of a thunderstorm? What good is that?
Corinthians 12, verses 18 to 21, 22, and 26. But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many members, yet one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. On the contrary, the members of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. If one member suffers, all suffer with it together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together with it.
I see them. The ones who show up. Rain, or sun, or wind, it doesn't matter. Signs in hand, speaking their truth. I've watched them every weekend, Saturday, Sunday, rooted on the corners and the intersections and the town green, waving their truth and their banners. I'm grateful for them. Jesus blesses their fire, as do I, as do you. It takes courage to stand in the open, to be looked at, to be yelled at, to be dismissed, and still show up the next day. That is faith. That is gospel. But some of us wonder, my fire is not a bonfire. That's a quieter fire. Maybe it's just a flickering candle in the kitchen. A single coal in an otherwise cold room. If I'm not doing that, am I doing anything at all? I think maybe it doesn't count. But Paul would disagree with me. Paul said that the body is made of many parts. And the parts that seem small are not just included, they're indispensable. He said, the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, so I tell myself these things. The marcher is just as important as the mourner. The preacher is just as important as the shepherd. The altruist as important as the congregation. The people behind the scenes are just as important as the rock stars. Because even if the pinky toe is not there, the whole body is thrown off balance. That's an actual fact. The pinky toe's missing, you'll be off balance. So what is your fire? What is your ministry? Maybe it's not public, maybe it is. Maybe it's not loud, maybe it is. Maybe it's not direct, maybe it is. If it brings warmth, healing, shelter to one person, one neighbor, one soul, one little one community, one town, one state, one nation, one world. It matters. You matter. You may not be a force of nature, but you can breathe fresh air into an otherwise stale room. Because sometimes that is exactly where the kingdom of God begins.
Hebrews 12, verses 1 and 2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of our faith, who for the sake of joy that was set before him endured the cross, disregarding its shame, and has taken his seat at the right hand of the throne of God.
When I start to doubt again, when I wonder if my part is too small, my flame is too pale, I remember I am not alone. I am surrounded not by crowds, not by likes or followers, but by a cloud, a great cloud of witnesses. Jeremiah, whose fire made him weep. Isaiah, who said, "Send me." And not because he was ready, it was simply because he was willing. Mary Magdalene, who preached the resurrection before she was believed. And there was Harriet with her lantern and Underground Railroad. There was Martin with his dream. There was Dolores with her "Si se puede." Or there was Fred with his song of neighbors and friends and the land of make-believe. And you. You who protested, you who broke bread with the most vulnerable at Community Kitchen. who prayed when no one saw. You who noticed and spoke out when you could have stayed silent. You who held your tongue when you could have cursed. You who held a hand in comfort or assistance when you were not required to. You're part of that crowd. You're part of that cloud of witnesses. I look out at the protest and I think, why am I not there? As I'm driving my kids back from school, thinking about what am I going to put on the table that they'll actually eat, or how many excuses they're going to come up with for not going to bed. How will I pay the mortgage and the light bill this month? I've thought it. But I have my own gift. Now, for whatever reason, I don't have a fear of public speaking. I could just imagine, God and Gabriel going through the production list of humans, and they're like, okay, well, so Gabriel, I see that you didn't activate the switch for fear of public speaking. Is that true? And Gabriel's like, yes, that's true. Okay, great. Did you upgrade the memory? Because he's going to be really tied to his notes. Well, maybe we'll make him a preacher. All right, I guess that'll work. Now I lost my place. That is my fire. And it's not perfect, but it's mine. The fire in your bones doesn't need to look like anyone else's. The fire that God placed in you was never meant to consume you. It was meant to carry you. Each part of the body has its own purpose. To walk, to run, to embrace, to grip, to see, to balance, to hear, to stabilize, to taste and smell, to think, to reason, to feel. Every single one of these are holy works. So let it burn. Let it burn as you teach, as you comfort, as you write, as you listen. Let it burn when you speak, and let it burn when you remain silent. Let it burn in love and in loving kindness and in the smallest acts of faithfulness. For you're not alone. You're not forgotten. You're never too small. You are a witness. And you are the fire. Amen.